It had been years since the doors of the abandoned mental hospital had been opened. The building stood tall and imposing, its brick facade weathered by time and neglect. Few people in the small town even knew it existed, and those who did were warned to stay far away. There were rumors that the ghosts of former patients still roamed the halls, trapped in a never-ending nightmare of their own creation. But to a group of adventurous teenagers, the hospital represented a thrill they couldn't resist. They gathered in the dark of night, telling each other ghost stories to build up their courage before stepping inside. They had heard of the hospital's dark history, of the horrors that had taken place within its walls. But they were young and foolish, believing they were invincible. The group of 5 entered the hospital, their flashlights barely illuminating the dimly lit hallways. The air was thick with the musty smell of decay, and each step they took echoed through the empty corridors. It was as if the building itself was alive, watching them with its invisible eyes. They explored room after room, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of dust covering the floor. They found old medical equipment, rusted beds, and broken furniture, all signs of a place that had been abandoned for far too long. But as they moved deeper into the hospital, the atmosphere grew darker, and the air grew colder. It was as if they had stepped into another world, one filled with fear and uncertainty. Then they heard it, a low growl coming from one of the rooms down the hall. They froze, unsure of what to do. Was it a wild animal that had somehow made its way into the hospital? Or was it something far more sinister? They crept towards the room, their flashlights trained on the door. They pushed it open, and the source of the noise was revealed. In the center of the room stood a figure, hunched over and growling like a wild animal. It was dressed in tattered clothing, its hair wild and unkempt. The teenagers stood frozen in terror, unsure of what to do. But then the figure stood up, revealing its face to the light. It was a former patient of the hospital, his eyes wild and filled with rage. He lunged at the group, his hands clawing at their flesh. They ran, screaming in terror as they tried to find their way out of the hospital. But the former patient was relentless, chasing them through the dark halls, his crazed laughter echoing in their ears. Finally, they found the exit, but the doors wouldn't budge. They were trapped, with no way out. The former patient caught up to them, his twisted smile filling them with dread. He spoke in a voice that was both haunting and familiar. "You can't leave," he said, his eyes gleaming with madness. "You're all mine now." The group was never seen again, and the hospital remained abandoned. But to those who knew its secrets, it was more than just an empty building. It was a place of terror, a reminder of the dark and twisted past that lay buried beneath its walls. And to those who were brave enough to enter, it was a warning to never underestimate the power of the human mind.